group for anyone who wants to join in English, who isn't already in a study group. It's Wednesdays at 7 p.m. So this is from In the Realms of Mediumship. And to me, this is one of the most powerful statements in the book, because it says, our mind is a center of intelligent forces that generate a subtle plasma, which, because we are constantly emitting it, offers objective resources to the images of our imagination under the command of our own designs. So what that's basically saying, in the simplest way that I can think of, is that when we think, our brains are producing particles. Like, it's producing physical things that are actually, we are actually generating them. This is, the easiest way to understand it is if you believe in the simple idea that prayers have power, that you can pray and they have an effect. This is what's happening behind that. This is the mechanism behind that. You are thinking about something, you have an intention, you are sending that intention to a specific place, and there's actually something physical being generated by you. You have the control of this. You're in control of what your mind is creating. And you have control of where that goes and what happens with it. In the same way that our minds are creating these ideas and we're sending them to wherever we're directing them, we also attract certain ideas based on what we're thinking. We're like magnets. We are like antennas, like the gentleman said. We are sending our ideas and we're receiving things, but we're also attracting things that have an affinity to us. So whenever we dwell on certain things, whenever we think about certain things, those ideas are going out, and they're kind of sticky too. They're like sticking to, they're like fishing poles, like fishing rods almost. They're going out, and they're receiving also, and we're connecting with similar thoughts that we have, and then we're putting that out there, and it's getting amplified back to us. We have the ability, based on what we choose, what we decide to think about, whether we're going to attract good things or bad things, right? And maybe, there's, a fine line between those two. But what we think about, whatever has an affinity to us, we're going to attract it back. This is also from In the Realms of Mediumship. It says that threads of living forces are radiating from us. They capture elements, and I added ideas, because that's what I see elements as, that are similar to them. So the thoughts that you send out are attracting the same elements back to yourself. And thus, they weave around our soul a thick web of impulses that sometimes become irresistible. And I added on the bottom, this is why we give in to temptations. So the more that we dwell on any particular idea, what happens is we're reinforcing that idea, and we're making it easier for that idea to affect us. We're basically incorporating that idea into us to a point where it's something that becomes habitual. It's something that becomes a habit. We obsess over it. And the way that I see this is, does anyone know what this picture is of? It's not any specific place. It's just like the form, like what it is.
It just looks like the layers of the earth.
Right.
All the different layers of the, I don't know the names of each one.
Oh no, I don't either. I just got the picture because of the layers. But yeah, this is the layers of the earth that get formed slowly over time. Like when you look at a picture like this, it's called strata, but the process of the formation of each layer is called stratification. And this is how I see how when we keep thinking about certain things and we dwell on them and we start making them habits, this is what happens to us, like in our bodies. Slowly, slowly these layers start getting built over and over again, right? And the oldest layers here are the ones on the bottom. So then over time, what happens is you start creating all these layers over and over again. You start doing the same things. You start thinking about the same ideas, and it starts to create like this physical like wall, like this physical part of you that becomes harder and harder and harder to change as you continue doing the same things. And this could be good things, it could be bad things. So the longer that you continue doing the same, let's say you have like a negative habit, the longer you continue doing it, the stronger that you're reinforcing that inside of yourself.
What's the expression? If you continue to do things, but I can't remember the expression.
I have it later on in here. Yeah. So this is from the Gospel according to Spiritism. Our bad instincts result from the imperfection of our own spirit. So going back to the idea of the stratification is that we have imperfections, and the more that we give into those temptations and those imperfections, the more that these habits are going to continue happening, and the stronger these layers are going to continue building inside of us. So our bad instincts result from the imperfection of our own spirit. Our improvement depends on us, because everyone who is in the enjoyment of their faculties has the freedom to do or not to do. To do good, you need nothing more than to want. So going back to the idea that our minds create these particles and that we are in control of our own thoughts, we, as difficult as it may seem sometimes, because we are huge antennas, we do receive and we feel the things around us. We are susceptible to social media and things like that. But we have control over what we decide to put out. We have control of our actions. We have control of our thoughts. The more that we decide to take the easy route or to continue with maybe negative thinking, negative habits, the more that we're gonna continue doing those same things, and the more that it's gonna be the automatic response to our situations. So the last line here, you need nothing more than to want. So let's say that we really want something, right? Like this happens in our lives, right? Sometimes we see something we really want, we start thinking about it over and over again, and what do we start to do? We start to obsess about it, right? We start to, sometimes if it's something positive, we pray for it. We start thinking about it so much that it kind of consumes our life, and it doesn't really matter what the right answer is. We just want to get what we're wishing for. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, it addresses this. We can ask God for earthly favors, and He can grant them to us when they have a useful and serious purpose. But as we always judge the usefulness of things from our point of view, and as our views are limited to the present, we do not always see the bad side of what we want. God, who sees much better than we do and who wants only our good, can refuse what we ask, as a parent denies their child what would be harmful to him. So sometimes we, take the example of a parent refusing something that their child wants. So let's say, you have a child who, wants to eat ice cream all day, right? Obviously they can't do that because it wouldn't be good for them. But, in the moment when they eat it, it tastes good. It feels good. Like they love the ice cream. Like it's so good. Like, who doesn't like ice cream? But if they wanted to eat ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, of course, you're going to tell them no because that's not healthy. So to the child, they might think that that's unfair. They might be upset at the parent for that. But taking that into a greater perspective, sometimes we think that we really, really want something and we think that it's good, but we can't really see past our own wants and our own desires, and we can't see past our own pride. And sometimes what we want isn't necessarily the best for everyone. It's more of a self-centered idea, a self-centered want. So when that does happen, when your prayers or wishes are not being answered, This is the number 26 continued from in the Gospel according to Spiritism. If what we ask for is not granted, we should not therefore give in to discouragement. We must think on the contrary that the deprivation of what we desire is imposed on us as a proof or as an expiation. So this is kind of, it's kind of like a heavy thing to say, because now what it's saying is that when you ask for something and you don't get it, and maybe it was something that you really wanted, it says that it treats it as an expiation. And the word expiation, sometimes people would translate that into like a trial, but really what expiation means is it's like an atonement. It's like when you are doing something and you ask for forgiveness. That's what like expiation is. So in a way, you could see it as a trial. And so an example of this is, let's say that you see like the house of your dreams, right? Or maybe it's not the house of your dreams. It's a house that you really, really want. And then you see this house and you're just completely like consumed with this house as an idea, and you're just like obsessing about it. And you want nothing more than to own this house. And you know that the house is outside of your price range. You know that if you were to, get the house, that it would be like a struggle for you. Maybe the loan would be, a higher interest rate than what you could handle. But you don't care about any of those things. The only thing you care about is just seeing yourself in the house. So you constantly just obsess about it, and then eventually, maybe at the end you don't get it, and you think it's like a wrong that has been done to you because you put so much effort and so much time and so much thought into getting this house, and in the end of the day you didn't get it. Well, it's telling you here that you need to use that as an example to kind of correct what your expectations and your wants are. It's saying that maybe what you think that you want and what you're trying so hard and desperately to get isn't necessarily what's best for you in that particular moment. Maybe you should look for something else that's more affordable, more humble, something that you can handle, something that you can manage. And when you learn that, that's when you go through the expiation process. It's when you finally realize that you are putting what you want and your expectations into perspective and being something that you can achieve, something that's within your limit, something that's within your capability. A lot of times we don't think that way. We sometimes want things so badly, and when we don't get them, we think that we were let down somehow. We think that we were betrayed, either by other people around us or by God, and that can sometimes lead to very negative thinking. But this is giving us the opportunity here to learn that sometimes what we are so desperate to have isn't necessarily what is the best for us. When we think that things don't go our way, we often forget how often good things actually do happen to us. There may be many wonderful things happening in our lives right now that we take for granted. Your family, your friends, your job, even a car, your health. Some people don't have some of these things. It's very easy to forget all the blessings that we have in our life, and it's very easy to take those things for granted. This is also from the Gospel according to Spiritism. One should not consider as blissful successes only what is of great importance. Often, seemingly insignificant things are the ones that most influence our destiny. Man easily forgets the good rather than remembering what ails him. So what this is saying is that whenever something bad happens to us, we remember it a lot more. It stays with us. And all the tiny little things that happen to us on a daily basis, we are oblivious to them. I mean, there's probably a lot of the small things that happen to us every single day that we are just either just unaware of or just ungrateful for. And it continues here, saying better than how I can explain. If we recorded day by day the benefits that we are the subject of, are the object of, without having asked for them, we would often be amazed to have received so many that have been wiped from our memory. And we would feel humiliated by our ingratitude. Yeah, sometimes very small things happen and we just don't realize them. Like, let's say you have kids and your kid gets into an argument at school and something that could escalate to something bigger, and it ends up turning out to be nothing. Sometimes you have situations at work that could escalate very quickly into very complicated situations, and sometimes somebody seemingly on a whim decides not to make a certain decision that might be negative to you or to them or to the environment. All these little tiny things, we're constantly hearing and hearing things, and thoughts are constantly coming into our head, and we're receiving things from our environment, and those things have a huge impact on how we behave. Of course, we have ultimate control over what we do, but it's amazing how much help we get from the other side and how easily things can go wrong. And often they do go wrong, but a lot of times they help more than we could ever imagine. We get assistance at a magnitude more than we could ever imagine. So even knowing this, we're in constant struggle, right? We're in constant struggle with ourselves. We're constantly wanting more. We're constantly battling with ourselves. We're battling with each other, and sometimes seemingly for insignificant things. We find many ways to divide ourselves. We find many ways to, find wrongs in people. And once we get to that level of forgiveness, unconditional forgiveness, not only with the people around us, but with ourselves, that's when we can start making true progress. That's when we can look at each other, unconditionally loving someone, and be a family, one human family. So this is from In the Realms of Mediumship. We have not yet achieved the supreme victory over ourselves. We are in the condition of the earthly soil, which cannot produce without tools. Without the tools of labor and struggle to perfect our abilities, we would be continuously threatened by hazardous weeds which multiply and consolidate in a direct relation to the aptitude of the abandoned soil. So what this is saying is that we have to struggle constantly to basically work the field and to make sure that the field is the field of like your body, your soul. It takes constant work and struggle in order to clear the weeds out. The way that I kind of can see it in the easier light is, we have physical bodies. We can imagine like your body is like a field that you are working on, right? It takes a lot of time and effort and patience to plant the things that you want to grow. It takes a lot of time and struggle to remove the weeds that are growing. It takes a lot of work, and the longer that you put off that work, the more that the weeds start to grow. And the longer that you continuously put off that work, the weeds grow faster and faster, right? And then the job becomes so great that once we start to do that work, once it's been so long, the job seems almost impossible to accomplish because there's just so much work to do. It's sometimes we need help from other people at that point. Sometimes we get to the point where the job is just so insurmountable that we have to look to other people for assistance. And this is part of our mission here on this planet, is that we're here to support each other. We all find ourselves in situations where they seem impossible and it seems like there's no way out. And the only way to get out of those situations is to look to other people and to ask for help. And then our job is to help those people who need that help. So what is right or wrong? In each moment, we make our decisions based on the current situation and how we are seeing the situation. And we make decisions based on how we were feeling in any given moment, even though you may know better. No one can really say that you are right or wrong in any given situation. You're acting based on what is happening to you. So we sometimes know the right course of action to take in situations. We know that we should be better people. We know that we should be more forgiving. We know that we should be more charitable and more helpful towards one another. But this is going back to my original question in the beginning. Why is it so often that we find ourselves not doing those things, right? Why is it so often that we find ourselves behaving in a negative way, like wishing bad things towards other people, not helping each other? It's because in any given situation, based on the information that you have around you, you're acting in a certain way. And in a way, even though sometimes we know better, no one can tell you that that's right or wrong. And this is part of the reason why reincarnation is so important. It's because we are coming back over and over again, reliving these same dramas in our life, trying to better ourselves slowly by going through hundreds and thousands of experiences until we get to the point where we've suffered so much and we've hurt each other so much that we are willing to love each other unconditionally and forgive each other without having any hatred in our heart. And this is the point that we're striving towards that seems almost impossible, because we always look at other people and sometimes we feel like we've been wronged, right? And sometimes that may be the case. Sometimes we could be seeing the situation in the wrong way. But based on your situation that you're in, you're always going to react based on what you're experiencing. You're always going to react based on what you're feeling in that moment. And no one can necessarily say that that's right or wrong. It's because based on what you've experienced in your life, based on what mood you were in that day, that's how you decided to react. And we're still learning, right? We have to experience more. We still have to experience more. We're making a lot of progress. We have made enormous progress as a human species, but we still have a lot of work to do, and it's not easy. It's not easy work. It's a lot of reminders that we need constantly every day. It's coming here to the center and listening to all these different talks. It's trying to understand your family better. Not being afraid to face those difficult situations that you may be encountering with them, and just living through your life as best as you can. Trying to be better every day. So going back to what I was showing you in the beginning of the talk about all the layers that are being formed, these are all based on your decisions. Every single layer that gets formed, and this can go back to your past lives as well. Every time you make a decision, another layer is formed, right? And this is how the history of our lives gets created. Based on every single decision that you make, whether you want to say it's right or wrong, whether you may have acted in a negative way, whether you acted in a wonderful way, this is creating each layer in your life slowly. And this is the history that is formed over time. You can't take away the layers of your life and all the decisions you have made. They form the record of your history and of your life. But we can learn from them, and we can choose what we will become. Our struggles are necessary for us to grow. it takes a lot of time and hard work, but sometimes under tremendous pressure, what happens at the bottom of those rocks? Sometimes diamonds are formed, right? Sometimes precious gems and other really amazing structures are formed. But without that very time-consuming process and without tremendous pressure, which is our struggles through our life, those diamonds are never formed. Now, it's not that everyone is going to become a diamond, it's just an idea. It's just there is a reason for all of this pain and suffering. There's a reason for all of the experiences that we go through in our life, all the difficult situations. Even though we may seem like we're getting put into impossible circumstances, there's a reason for that, right? You, in a way, have chosen some of the things that have happened to you. Not exactly word for word, and ounce for ounce, but you've put yourself into certain situations. You've put yourself into certain family circles. You've put yourself into certain environments at your job and through your career. And through these situations that you have willingly chosen for yourself, this is how the process of becoming a better person takes place. It isn't easy. It can be very painful. Some people go through excruciatingly painful situations in their life that they feel they can never overcome or ever get past. But through these experiences, this is how we learn, this is how we grow, and this is how we become better people. So this may be what you were thinking of earlier, but it's a little bit different. This is sometimes attributed to Gandhi, but people say that it's a really older like saying. But your thoughts and your beliefs affect your words. Your words become your actions and behavior. Your actions and behavior become your habits. Your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. And here's a very simpler and older version of it. What we think, we become. It's an old Zen precept. So it's I've heard this so many times, and I still think it's as powerful now as when I first heard it. It really is life-changing advice, because we're always going to find ourselves in difficult situations. We're always going to find ourselves taking the actions that we know are the wrong action. So we just need these constant reminders. We need to remind ourselves that it isn't always about us. It isn't always how we perceive the world. It isn't always that we're right. It's sometimes you have to sacrifice that feeling of pride and selfishness to make the situation beneficial for not only yourself, but for everyone around you. So this is the final slide here, and this is from a song. I've been doing this through my talks. I kind of take like a hard rock song that people wouldn't really expect there to be like a good message in, and I bring it here to share with you guys. So this is from a band called Nothing More, and this is in one of their songs. With open hearts, despite the stakes, we take a chance on our mistakes. A brand new day we will embrace, an open wound that heals with grace. All the fears that we will face in this time and in this place, when you can say and I can say, we loved with every step we take. Thank you so much. Yes. Sorry? Yeah, it is, but it's like rock music. Yeah. It's faster than that, but I was just taking my time. Does anyone have any like last questions or any last comments? No. Yes. Okay.
The one I was thinking about before was if you repeat the same thing over and over again,
Oh, right. Yeah, that's when you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. That's a definition of insanity. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's kind of funny because scientists do that all the time. Like, that's what the scientific process is. We do the same thing over and over again, trying to expect a different result. But it's not insanity. We're just proving like a law, you know. But it is true. Like, we do things in our life and we do the same things over and over again. And, you know, we know that we're doing the wrong thing, but we continue doing it, expecting a different result. But sometimes you got to change it up and try to, yeah.
In regards to doing the right thing, there's I can't remember where I read it, and I took it off the internet. It could have been from the site. It just says, right or wrong, be decisive.
Okay. Right or wrong, be decisive. Okay. Maybe that's good advice. Maybe not. Yeah, I don't know. Exactly, yeah. But like I was saying before, you make a decision based on what you're feeling in that moment, and you know, you make a decision. So you gotta live with it. You make your choices, and you gotta live with it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.